All right. Well, thank you for taking the time again. And I'll just give you kind of a quick primer. Essentially, this is an online collaborative storytelling app. So teams of people can upload footage into a common project together and share finished stories into their project page. And then the public can explore those and create custom versions of that and share it to social media if they want. Another way to use this is to take your project and make it appear as a widget or an iframe inside of a website. So it can be a portal that's in your website that allows the public to do that. Or a third way would be to just create, like, say, educational curriculum that isn't shared in, say, social media, but instead is just a common place for students to explore, science topics, that kind of thing, and then arrange their own version of that so they get a chance to explain the science back to somebody else. And that process of creating a film out of that content is kind of a novel learning technique. And that may be what you're most interested in. I'm just going to log out here, and then I'm going to switch to my other account and log in. So what I'm going to do is just kind of give you just sort of a quick tour of the different areas of the app. So when I logged in, it took me to my studio. A studio is the place where everything that I'm connected to is all organized in one place. So any projects that I'm a member of, I'm going to see those projects right here, and I'm part of all of these different projects, and there's a lot of them. Any short films that I've created, we call those stacks. So a film stack is essentially a short film that I've created. I'm part of all kinds of different projects. So here's a science one, here's one with my family. So just everything is going to be here. Also, all of my clips, any of the building blocks that I made those films with, all that content is going to be organized for me too. And any crew members that I'm collaborating with, everything, all of them across all my different projects, they're all here, and there's a bunch of them. All right, so that's kind of the studio. So it's just a place where you can find anything that you're part of. The next part on this menu is these are all the different projects that I'm a part of, and I can just kind of quickly access them. I'm gonna go to Tomorrow Life. And so now we are looking at a project page. And so this is kind of like a YouTube channel or something. It's just a place where there's a lot of content that's focused around a common topic. So there's going to be a crew that's associated with this project, and there'll be films that are coming from this project. And everything in the Tomorrow Life project is about exploring the science, filming the future. And these are two different films that have been created, and I featured them. So since I'm logged in and I'm the owner, I'm seeing a lot of things that you might not see as the public. The public would only see these entry stories. That's all that they're going to see. But I can see all kinds of stuff that I've started to make, and I haven't decided to feature any of those there. They're just finished films that I could decide to feature for the public. And again, all the clips that are related. And then this is the crew that's currently part of Tomorrow Life. So this is me. This is one of our co-founders. And yeah, so there's Samara. Okay, so if I was to watch this one about is our vaccine safe, what Filmstacker does is we're now on the watch page. There's kind of four different main areas of Filmstacker, and this is how you watch a film, and it's just going to play back just like a film on the internet. You can see the title, you can see a description of it, you can see the project that's a part of. You could share it if you wanted to. And this is a film of just one clip. If I click on this one, you'll see that this film actually is composed of several clips. And what this is going to do is just play through all the different parts of this film, just like normal. And at any time, if I'm, say, wanting to dig in a little deeper on what I'm learning right now, or maybe explore to a different part of this project, I can open the Explore tab, and it's going to offer me pathways that branch from where I am towards a new direction. And we're still kind of working on how to make this clear for the public, but these are tags that tell you where this might go. So I'm like, all right, I want to move from what Zen Buddhists think about genetic engineering. I want to see what George Church, or actually, what George Church and um, thinks about genetic engineering. So, oops, I'm going to click right here. So here's George Church, and he's talking about whatever he's saying. So I've now just kind of controlled the direction of where I can explore. And then the final step that the public could do here is move over to the stacking area where they could actually craft their own version of this. So if I like what I'm seeing, I'm like, this is content that's good for the film that I want to make, I can add all of them. And so what that did is it added all 14 clips into my edit area. So I just moved from watch over to edit. And now if I had only wanted to just, right now this is playing this clip right here. If I just wanted to add just that one clip, I may want to add just that one clip. Now just added that single clip. So wherever you're exploring as you watch and you encounter stuff that you want to use, you can just add it into your area. And then later on, you can come back to here and you can be like, okay, here's all the content that I want to build my film with. I want to delete that one because it doesn't belong there. And this one's about a horse. It also should not be in there. So I'll get rid of those two. The one about Gattaca, I want to start with that. So I'm going to move that to the top. And now I'm going to say, get rid of this one, get rid of this one. I'm just going to delete all these out real quick. Okay. All right. So this is good. I've got Gattaca. I've got George Church. I want to preview it. I'm like, I can sit there and I can watch the whole thing. And when my film is done, I'm ready to publish. So I just went down there to the publish button. And it's just like social media. You can just quickly grab a thumbnail and say, this one's about George Church. So I'm just going to type in the title. I'm going to type in the description. And then I can decide what kind of tags that will help people understand what my story is about. And in this case, I'm going to add this to my Tomorrow Life project. And it's finished. So it's done. So I just made a film, going to publish it. And it's that easy for the public to explore and publish something. And then they can share that with a link, or they can put it out onto Facebook, social media, text, or send it as an email. And I can just go right back and watch it if I want to. And you'll see now that that film that we just made is now in my recent. So again, if the public was to come to my homepage, they're not going to see this film. They're only going to see it if I had shared it with them. But you can go into your project and you can edit and decide, you know what, I want to add this one to featured. So it's just kind of like YouTube. You can just move content to the top. So I can just go ahead and add that if I had wanted to. But I don't right now. All right. And then, okay, so now that's kind of the public's experience with it. Now just let me tell you a little bit about how a team of filmmakers might, say, collaborate together to work on a project together. So our team has an owner, which is this person. It's got producers, which in this case is the account that I'm logged in with. And it's got, say, crew members. And so there's sort of like 3 different types of people of our crew. So the owner has sort of total control of the project. They can invite crew, they can invite producers, they can upload content, they can feature stories, they can change everything about that project, total control. And they're also ultimately responsible for everything that's in that project. It needs to meet, Filmstacker community guidelines. They're the ones that are in charge of the moderation process. So they're accountable for their project. They can bring in producers to help them with that job. And the producers have quite a bit of power too. The producers can invite crew members. The producers can feature things. The producers can do a lot of stuff too. So they're ultimately a middle step in the moderation process. They'll be able to approve and make public content that's coming in. And then the final level are crew members. And crew members have less power. So let's say that you're doing a project that involves, grad students in a lab, and you want them to be able to say capture, the most exciting research that they're doing or really interesting things, but they're not really like involved in the day-to-day decisions of what your project wants to be showing to the public. So the content that they create and the stacks that they create will come in, and then those will need to be moderated and reviewed by the producers or the owners before it's seen by the public. So it's just a way to kind of distribute like the sources of footage that you could be working with and the crew that you can work with, but they don't have a lot of power in the project. They're just kind of collaborators. And you can invite new crew members. It's really easy to do. You can just send them an email or search for them in our system, and then just assign them a role. And that's how you do that. Okay, so let's say that I'm a producer or crew and I want to bring in some footage. So I'm going to choose the project that I'm going to upload my footage to. And it's going to, if this was on a phone, it would just access right off your phone. On a desktop, you can just pull in something from the desktop. So I just grabbed 3 clips. So let's say that I'd been filming something, and I have a story that's like kind of complete. I kind of have all the pieces there, but it's not really, made yet. So I just need to upload them. I'm going to grab all those at once as a batch, and I'm just going to capture them, and it's going to move them. It moved me right to the stacking area where I can make a new film. And it's just going to bring them into the system and transcode them. And after a few minutes, depending on the length of the clip, it's just like YouTube. It just has to get them into the system, and then they'll start to pop in here in a second. And these are short clips. Each one of these clips is about 5 seconds long. Filmstacker will only allow you to bring in a 3-minute clip. That's the longest. Honestly, like most of the stuff that I do is like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, because you're going to be organizing those into like kind of like little films. And it's pretty rare that, you would actually talk to the camera for like more than a minute. That's not going to happen very often. So a whole list of your clips will come in, and sometimes the clip may not be like perfect, especially if you're relying on crew members to like use their phones to capture like the moment. There might be some like junk on either end of that, or maybe you're only interested in just like part of the clip. So we built in a little trim feature that allows you to just quickly trim out what you want. Now, if you're uploading professionally made clips that are like highly edited and highly polished, you don't need to do this stuff. This is just kind of to handle like cell phone stuff. You can also select the poster, and if you want to name it so you can find it easier, we can tag it to help you search. You can even move it on around the map to some, you can find things geographically later. So we just give you a lot of tools to help you find content later, or to help our machine learning organize that content later. Anyway, I'm not going to save that, but actually I'll just go ahead and save it. So you can update the clip. Again, we can rearrange these. We can do whatever we need to do, and then they're in the system now. But we put you in the stack editor because it's a good step to go ahead and publish that as a short film. That way, we understand the relationships between the clips a little better too. If you didn't publish, those clips are still in your project. You can find them later and use them. But if you publish them as a stack, then you've kind of grouped things together, and we know that those clips have relationships to each other. So the software can get a little smarter. And so that's the plan, is to go ahead and just publish it and make a short film. Even if you never make it for the public, you might use the stuff later doing something else. Back to capture. So we just did the upload from our device. You can also bring in a YouTube clip. And so any content that's on YouTube is really an interesting platform in that they allow their videos to be embedded on other people's websites. And so that all their content is available for us in the system. And YouTube also allows you to just use a part of their video. They have in their API, and as part of their rules, they allow you to use part of it. And so you can bring in a YouTube URL and then pull out the part that is interesting for your film that you're making and bring that in also. So then you can just go ahead and harvest a YouTube video. And that's the main stuff. There is a couple other things that we're working on right now that aren't finished, but I do want to talk about just because they're important. In the project settings, we're working actively on giving you a lot of controls over how your project works. And so obviously a really important one is like, is this a public project or not? And so do you want people to be like actively discovering it in the system? Because we have a whole kind of community area where people can see what other people are doing. You can make it to where it doesn't get discovered. You can make it so that the public can actually use your content to create stacks, or you can just turn that feature off. If you'd rather they just explore and watch, then you can do it that way. And there's some other features that are going to change here, but you can say, like, you can really set the control even at a clip level. You can say, there's a clip that I want everyone to be able to make films out of my content and share them, except for this one clip. This one clip is like so sensitive that only if it's in my stuff can it be used or can it be seen. So we would never want to see this clip in somebody else's stack. And so, for example, like with the anti-vax movement that we're focused on with Tomorrow Life right now, some of our clips, we probably will turn them off so that other people who might encounter this project in the public wouldn't actually be able to use that particular clip. And so there's kind of a whole range of controls and moderation that we're building into the platform. But at its core, it is what it is, which is a tool that really, harvests the creativity and the enjoyment of filmmaking and makes that available to students and companies and organizations so that they can really engage people with what they're doing and involve them in the storytelling. And thereby, hopefully, those people will have a reason to share it and spread the word about that and bring more people back to the project. That's kind of like the overall kind of designing ethos here. And so we really do want the public to be involved, and that's kind of the point.